Just about to throw up mom spaghetti. You already know. No, I mean,
Yeah,
yo, what it do, what it do? It's your boy L.A Khalil. I am joined with a really good friend. I known him for like a good year or two, maybe a year and a half. We've
pretty
talked about
much.
music. We talked about everything, things that I shouldn't be talking about. He gets super annoyed, but he is the OG, the one that's been, feeding the streets with the beats. He has one of my favorite beats of our time, Final Fantasy. That Final Fantasy beats hard.
Dog, yeah, I appreciate it.
Welcome, Ahmad the Prince. Good to
Bruh.
have you.
Thank you for having me here. Like, to be honest, this might have been one of the greatest intros you ever pronounced or even like performed.
Thank you.
That shit's great.
Thank you. Before we get started, I want to say thank you to all the first responders, still to everyone that's, battling with COVID, anyone that's going with COVID. Still, I'm still thinking about y'all. Y'all still in my hearts. It's Black History Month, and I'm so blessed to have just a amount. It's a crazy amount of Black friends, Black artists, Black creators, Black voices that are going beyond just either the basketball courts, the field, the canvas, the booth. People that are, actually putting their voices to things that need to be talked about more than just the entertainment or art. I feel like you're one of those that, I can rely on to have a really good sound learning lesson with,
Hmm.
Black Lives Matter. You're down based in Atlanta. A lot of prestige history has occurred there. And before we get into the art, I just want to like have you just give us a tour, let us know, give us some knowledge, drop some gems about Black history, as we celebrate Black History Month.
Shit. Well, to be honest, man, I'm honestly gonna be real with you. Black History Month, I wouldn't say it's something I would really be celebratory all of like pretty much all of my years because while you're growing up, you start to realize when you're being introduced as a black man or a black woman or anybody with a skin color that's been oppressed in some way, shape, or form, you feel like every day you fight to survive, right? So I feel like celebrating certain artists and certain people who have made our landmark a landmark in the United States and outside the US, like Martin Luther King, Langston Hughes, and Rosa Parks, those type of people, they've been shown to us as a great landmark for this month only. But I feel like we should be celebratory of Black excellence and celebratory things like that after and before February even begins. So that's my
Right.
opinion.
Right.
So with that being said, there's a lot, like you said, a lot of people who have been making their names here and other people outside. Hell, before I moved to Atlanta, I was staying in Augusta for like a good decade. So I've been accustomed to listen to a lot of James Brown, and I even have like a vinyl player that like I got like a lot of tapes and shit that have you know Langston Hughes and James Brown and all those other type of artists there. So I'd
Right.
be playing them out from time to time, just making like just making a vibe from it, and also just like to make some more music from it, like low key.
Hmm. I have a I have a I have a confession about Martin Luther King. It just you said his name and I remembered. Um, maybe let's say 2015, 2016. I was watching the NBA game, right? I was still new to watching NBA and basketball sports. And it was
Yeah,
the Martin Luther King Day like game. It was like Cleveland versus the Warriors when they were good. And I finally realized, and this is a true story. I got a lot of heat for like comedy, funny heat for it. I finally realized MLK Day was Martin Luther King Day. I I swear to God, for the longest time, I shouldn't even be saying this. I always thought it was Milk Day, but with the I took out to be a bit shorter than saying Milk Day. I don't know why. I always say whenever I look at like Martin Luther King, I'm thinking MLKJ because I always say Martin Luther King Jr.
yeah.
I never put MLK with Martin Luther King Jr. And I just try to sit back and all the days in like elementary school, I just never put two to two together. I never like saw it as Martin Luther King Day, MLK. I just never saw that. Like
So
I
you
knew what MLK was, but I just never put MLK Day with like Martin Luther King.
uh-huh.
And I just I just I asked myself, how do I still how am I still here? Like
Wait,
literally,
so,
I have to ask
yeah.
myself, like, how did I make it out of middle school?
I
Or
think the question I gotta ask you is how the hell did nobody tell you sooner?
because I never I just when I was in school, I just sat back. If I had a question, I didn't answer it. Like, I didn't ask it. You know what
Right.
I mean? I just see it and then I just come to my own conclusion, which I usually did up to
Yeah.
like high school. And I just left it alone until
Mhm.
I was like 2006. It had to be like 2016, 2017, just watching the game. And then they started talking about it and then it just clicked, you know?
Facts.
And then I'm like, okay, should I even be here right now? Like I just no, there's plenty of situations where I've done that. And it's just I don't know why. I don't know how I'm still making it. But back to what you're saying about like Martin Luther King, Langston Hughes, even some of the greatest like musicians, I was listening to the American Gangster soundtrack by Jay-Z,
Yeah.
Frank Lucas. I mean, sure he's not the most notable, heroic, noble, black figure, but he did what he had to do. The Renaissance in New York, New York Renaissance with music, black business, things of that nature.
Yeah.
I try to look at like Black History Month, and like you said, like this isn't something I would be so up for being, in celebratory fashion either, because Black lives have to just go through, the road and the mountain every single day, and I look at certain holidays like Christmas or Thanksgiving, for example, where we all gather our families and everything like that. I ask myself, why can't we have more than that?
Yeah.
Why is it only like 1 or 2 days because of a holiday where work will actually give us time off to go visit our family? Why can we not have more of those, intimate times? Because definitely with like how the years are progressing and definitely with politics and things like that, where there's so much divisiveness in the world, turmoil, things of that nature. We need to be a bit more close with our families, close with our loved ones, and I feel like, the work industry and things like that, we're still kind of slaves to that, maybe we kind of, it's a different situation where we applied to come to this place, right? We weren't necessarily forced, but you have to realize, we're in our neighborhoods, we're limited to so much. You know what I mean? We're only
Facts.
limited to so much, so we kind of have no choice but to go to that store, go to that place, kind of like how they put liquor stores in our neighborhoods down the block, very convenient. They do that for a reason,
Yeah.
because that it's gonna be cheap, it's gonna be in the nice colors, it's gonna be attractable, and they know, service is gonna, customers gonna come in there and stuff like that. And they just try to do these little ploys and putting things right there. Oh, that's convenient. Those billboards,
Exactly.
things like that. You know, I kind of I've kind of been just to the to the tricks and things like that. And it's up to kind of like us personally to like, you know what, I'm not even gonna play in that trick. I'm not even gonna play into that, forget that. But
Facts.
it's still sad to even be in 2021, still dealing with racism, still dealing with, colorism, things of that nature. Like it could be so much better happening right now, and we let just the color of our skin, like, you're darker than me, so I despise you. It's like, really? Like, come on now.
It's just the way it is,
You know,
dog. And
that,
I'm glad you mentioned that because I was gonna say that with how racism is being brought up till now, and probably like 100, maybe 1,000 years into the future, depending on how things turn out, I always find it fascinating how a lot of things can be changed in like a little plant of a seed. So what I'm talking about is like, like you said, how racism always still being brought today, but it's always been taught. Racism is something that has been implanted to you since you were a child. And since we had so many years of that being implanted in our heads, it's always just it made a seed inside this land we call Earth, and it's starting to become more of a toxin rather than an actual, a tree or something
Mhm.
big to make us feel nurtured. But it's the
Yeah.
opposite. And with how without things turning out so far, a lot of things have been coming out for the worse, like with the virus and this and the third, with riots, burning forests in fucking California. Like there's a lot of things we don't really think about are a
Australia burning
problem.
down.
Yeah, like we don't think a lot of things of this is just coming under the rug. And now all of a sudden, since things are getting too messy, y'all now want to act like, oh, this has been a problem and we should have tried to avoid it. Like,
Mhm.
nah, y'all did this to yourselves, and most definitely other countries. I'm not gonna say no names, but yeah, there's a lot of things that people have been hiding for years, and now all of a sudden it's starting to feel like you should change now. This should have been changed a long time ago before it was too late.
'Cause the money gonna start dipping off. That's the reason. When the money
Facts.
gets into play, that's when they start changing the playbook,
Oh
and
God.
it's sad that's how we that's how far we have to go to get some change is when the big companies or the big billionaires they can they know more, they can see when something's about to go down. That's why they're
Right.
so quick to step down from that high position and put someone else in charge. Yeah, they see and they just withhold that information to the public. And I'm not necessarily mad at them because I'm just me being mad at a billionaire is never gonna go anywhere. You know what I mean?
Facts.
But to the
Like,
people that we put in the position of leadership, it's still up to us to vote. You know, a lot of things can be changed by voting. But if we don't vote, we're gonna be mad at the people who are in those positions. But if we didn't
yeah.
want them in the positions, we would have gone voted. But with that being said, they do so much to try to either take us out the voting system, and then they have us reapply and reapply to get in the get back in the system. They make it so hard to us to even vote at the booths, or we vote by mail. Oh, it got lost or it didn't come, those type of things where they just try to take our freedom away, our freedom to vote. You know what I mean? And it's always gonna be like a slippery slope because we try to find, one solution, then another problem comes up, and find another solution, another problem comes up. And it's just about being at least a decent human being, like
Yeah.
even if we have different opinions on, you know, politics, it's like, okay, I respect you and your difference, but I'm not gonna let how you feel about someone, or you don't like this guy and I do. Like that's it's friendship, you know what I mean? Like if we're going way back and you understand we can have differences, I feel like the differences between us is actually what's supposed to put us closer to one another. Everything every day should be like a learning opportunity. Every day should be like a learning opportunity with their culture, language, land, like learning and appreciating one another, food, music. It's like so much to learn and so much to appreciate. And we all let it like go to waste because of skin color, or, like where you're from, your religious beliefs and things like that. It's all ridiculous. And I think, you know, there's more people like us where we don't let those type of things affect us,
Yeah.
but it's also about being organized, organizing your group in Atlanta, for me organizing my group in Los Angeles, Jim, Bob, and Hannah organizing their group in Texas, Arkansas. Then it's about communicating, how can we unite. you know i had a
Right.
I had a really good guest. She's the creator of One Post Collective. In our group chat, we're just talking about, the homeless situation, and so
Yeah.
to get that resolved, or at least try to do our best. There are solutions. It's just all about getting the right minds, being in the right mindset to take on that task. Homelessness is not something that can just easily be, like that, and it's taken care of.
Yeah.
These are people's lives on the line, seriously. And
Facts.
it's a team effort at the end of the day. It's a team effort with you, with myself, okay, who can I put into this and we can make a big difference. One person can only do so much. But if I can find contacts with people who have same similar mindsets or similar goals with what I'm doing, we can have a bigger reach, you know.
Facts.
And I see homeless people, white homeless people, black homeless people. Like the skin color doesn't mean nothing to me, but I know, you know, something happened. You did something or you didn't do something, and now you're in a very vulnerable position. It does not matter to me if you're doing drugs. It does not matter to me if you're drinking. What matters to me that you are a human being. You have emotions. You have feelings. You know, you have rights. You have dreams, and you also deserve food. You also
Yeah.
deserve to eat. It's unfortunate because, at times I kind of feel a bit uncomfortable, walking, putting myself in a position to, be in contact with, some people because of their mind state, of their mind, in their mind state, your mental state. When they're
Hmm.
drinking or doing, on a substance and they're talking to themselves or they're acting out of character, it's really hard to just confront and talk to them. I have to make sure that they're okay, that their mental state is where I feel like it should be to hold a
Most
really good
definitely.
conversation. And so it's all gonna be tricky. You know what I mean? Like I've been handling it. I've been dealing with that a few times with people. I've been starting to be more um talking to more and more. But it's always, what, I've seen this before. I've been able to handle it. I'm not gonna let someone that I consider a friend. Now, I'm not just giving people food. I want to have conversations. We're
Yeah.
talking. We're talking about, they're talking about college. They're talking about getting, work done and getting better and just things like that. Like these are human beings, and it's just sad the way the lack of government, the lack of hospitality, love that they don't get none of that because the perception, the perception of black people. Oh, we're lazy. We just like to smoke weed and we don't know how to keep a job, or we like chicken. Those are the stereotypes on us, right? And the
Pretty much.
perception of black people, of homeless people, rhinos, good for nothing, don't know how to don't want to work, don't know how to secure any money. You know what I mean? Like it's the perceptions and the stereotypes that really just are so unnecessary, and it's really sad. But we're both young, and I made a promise to myself. I This is my time. This is my time. I'm in my first. I would like to say this is my first um prime LeBron years, because every single year, every single team LeBron seems to have a prime. This is just the beginning of my prime, and I
Yeah.
have a voice, I have ambition, and it's been documented, where I know I'm actually doing things, and it's really good, and it's a real blessing to say and to know, like, to have you as a friend, more than just a collaborator or like, me rapper and you producer. It's really cool to be, yo, how you doing? What's going on? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. I
it's
appreciate
really
that.
cool that, you know what I mean? That's why I made that chat. That's why, I try to do my best to keep in touch with everybody because we don't know what is going to happen. Definitely with, the tensions in America. Like you could go outside, 9 p.m. wearing your hoodie, wearing that jacket right there, and you just minding your business. And God forbid, knock on wood, something terrible happens, you
Facts.
know. And then I'm not naive to think it can't happen. To me, I understand. I'm somewhat privileged. I'm not gonna deny that. I know there's the things of like light skin privilege and somewhat of being white. I understand. I may not face certain or the level, amount of, difficulty as full black people do, you know, but I
Yeah.
also, have to be aware that I'm nothing special. You know what I mean? Like I'm not bulletproof, or you know what I mean? Anyone can have an agenda. Any police officer with an agenda, they see something that is a hint of shade or a hint of brown, or you get what I'm saying? And then
Yeah.
they can do whatever they feel like doing, you know? It's a it's a spider web. It's a big tree where everything somewhat connects. You know what I mean? And it's all about trying to find the root of the problem. And really, the root of the problem is within ourselves. You know, you made a really good point about it being taught, but when it is taught, at a young age and everything like that. But when do we hold ourselves accountable? At what age do we start holding people accountable? At 15? You don't know at 15 with the cell phone, with the internet, and you see countless of Karens, of courtside Karens, of the Karens at the park, in the
So many
store.
Karens, bro.
You have 15, 14, 16. You don't you that it makes me upset because I was it's so true. Smartphones make dumb kids. You know what I mean? Like you with all this technology, seeing this is happening, knowing that it's wrong, you still are naive or unaware that a certain word is offensive to use. You
Yeah,
know, you get what I'm saying? Like, at what age do we hold people accountable? At 20? Goodness, you can work. You may,
yeah.
in 2 years, 4 years, you may be promoted to manager and you still have that mindset. That's dangerous in the workplace. Very dangerous.
Not even dangerous, bro. That's toxic. Like you can't if you really had to wait until you're 20 or at least 21 years old, like you if you had to wait until you're an adult to be held accountable for what you've been, you know, raised from the jump, then you really need to have your whole mindset reevaluated, not
Hmm.
just for everybody around you, but most definitely for yourself. Because when you have somebody with a lack of substance in their mental mind space and they have a smartphone with them 24/7, then they're literally holding a gun. It's just almost a time when they're about to aim it up to their heads or aiming at somebody else when times get serious. And honestly, it kind of just made me reminiscent of, you know, childhood shit that I used to do back when I was a kid and how I wouldn't really be using a phone as entertainment. Cause I'm not saying I'm old. I'm not saying I'm old because I'm most definitely young. Black don't crack, including you too. Black don't
Right,
crack it either. Like
right.
but like I realized that since my cousin, she turned 5 like a few months ago, and she's just now learning a lot, you know, with just a smartphone. Like already, she knows how to call people.
Hmm.
She knows how
Yeah,
to do video chat, all of that stuff. And I couldn't even be able to learn that since I was 12.
yeah.
Like until
Mm.
things started really getting serious because of MySpace trending and all that other fun stuff. But when I was a kid, I literally did not have a phone or anything like that. I was either outside or having those old orange VHS tapes with like Rugrats movies or fucking Jimmy Neutrons, all that stuff. Yeah, that
Mm-hmm.
nostalgia. Yeah, if you didn't
Yeah.
have that when you were a
Yeah.
kid, I cannot consider you a 90s or an early thousands baby.
Had
Like,
hundreds of Winnie the Pooh tapes. Had hundreds of them.
on God, on God. That was the only thing I had when I was always like at my aunt's or my grandma's house. Like those were the best times in terms of like entertainment. But now it's changed for a lot of kids.
Yeah, and
Sometimes for the good and sometimes for the bad.
exactly my point is like it's a neat balance where every kid's different. Every kid has a different maturity level, and some kids can handle seeing something, some can't. Definitely where their surrounding is, but I feel like with a lot of like, we being at such a young age and our peers are having kids at such young ages, it's faster to give the kid the phone. It's faster to give the kid the iPad. And
Right.
so through trial and error and just playing with it 24/7, they just get so adapt to it and they master at such a young age, and it's just really important to put certain, precautions on the iPad or on the phone. It's just because you don't want there needs to be restrictions. I feel like there needs to be restrictions. There needs to be limits. Kids are kids. Kids are very they love to explore, very curious on things. but it's also a time and place for those type of things to be seen or even talked about, you know?
Yeah.
But it has to be, kids need to have that type of guidance. It's no it's if I'm a parent and I just give you the phone and okay, go away, go be quiet, shush, play. That's not me parenting. That's me giving someone a distraction so I could take a break. That's just a
Yeah.
distraction. That's not parenting. We have to be able to be in front of our kids, communicate. The phone nowadays or the iPad is being the substitute for the parent. Okay, go play ABC Mouse or go play the learning games, go on YouTube, all of that, go watch that, go learn, go do it for yourself. The
Right.
phone, the iPad, the electronics will become the substitute. So the parents don't really have to do nothing but feed, and bathe them and stuff like that. You know what I
Mm,
mean?
I
But
100% agree.
it's
Like, oh no, Mike. Continue, continue.
I'm just gonna say is like definitely with how, we just the new amount of apps, and more things on Instagram and with, social standards. Oh, you gotta look this way. Oh, I gotta look like this, and I gotta have this type of hair, and you gotta look like this, and you have to have that type of makeup and that type of whatever, whatever. As we progress, it's gonna be more demanded out of us with our looks, our weight, with how we dress and things like that. And
Yeah.
it's a dangerous thing, real
Uh,
dangerous thing.
it really is because with a lot of things being opened up as a trend right now, it kind of unbalances the two between raising a child and using technology, or that person, that little child using
Mhm.
technology. And while we're on the topic of that, what is with people getting more babies these past couple of years?
Right.
Like, I'm pretty sure that we had a stable growth around 2017 up to 2019. But as soon as 2020 hits, everybody apparently wants a baby. I'm not even talking about for the pandemic. I'm really
Right.
talking about for, like you said, their own self concern. Because let's say that they start to grow up and the only thing that they can find from entertainment wise is the phone. Like, you really having electronics at a young age and having a more stable growth with that more than your actual parents, that's a problem. Like,
Hmm.
there's a really bad problem if you have that sort of mentality when raising a child.
Yeah.
Like, there's no point, because at this rate you're literally having a machine take care of your children.
Yeah.
Like, it's not only technology taking our jobs, but it's also taking our day-to-day lives as
Yeah.
well. And people don't realize it. Most people, even when you're not even a child, like when you're a teenager growing up and succumbing to this world we call social media, it doesn't end well with, I wouldn't say the majority of people, but like a select few that think this or that or the third in every social
Mhm.
media app, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram. They all have to reach an expectation.
Yeah.
So
A certain
whenever
amount of likes, certain amount of followers,
yeah, like you had
certain amount
to
of
you had
views.
to reach, yeah, like you had to realize that all of the stuff that you've been attracted to, that you kind of had a reach for, it's bullshit. Like, everything is all,
Made up.
yeah, it's all made up. Like, I can post something right now and it's not going to make me feel any better than how I was the next day.
Right.
So people
You're
just need to
absolutely right.
find a different form of happiness that's more genuine, rather than like finding something that makes you feel like you need to be validated when
And
really you don't need to be.
it's only
We're
gonna be temporary. Like,
exactly, like, you think Kylie Jenner is the type of person to feel idolized by just because she has millions of likes and doing all these stuff, all these deals and this and the third. No, she's just a regular human person.
right.
She's trying to get a bag. Like, she's
Yeah.
trying to do everything she wants to do in terms of making her life happy. You might hate her
As
because
we
of
all
it.
are too. As we
Yeah.
should.
Like, I don't blame them for getting their hustle on, but like I said, it's supposed to be a balance to how
Hmm.
you make it, how you set life out to be, while also not dealing with social media.
Right. And it's one of those things when you're talking about, the kid and the parent where, for the kid, after a few years or whatnot, the kid be like, "Who are you?" Like, I've been getting all this information from this. You weren't
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
weren't, teaching me or communicating with me, and then at the same time, it's like, you know, we always say like the kids are our future. The kids are what's gonna, be us, successors and things like that, gonna carry the wave. But if we're so, you know, concerned with putting a phone in front of their faces and them not getting the proper, going outside, not getting, the proper communication skills from actually talking to people, not going out playing. You know what I mean? I get want to be cooped up in the house all day. I used to be that as a kid, but then I had so much fun doing things with people outside, going to the park, playing basketball, coming up with plays, going to the park on the field, playing football, coming up with plays,
Yeah.
that bond. Okay, you know what? We go out to the park, we play, but then what's your gamer tag? Then we could play at the house. Now I got a friend outside, and now I got a friend inside. Versus just having a friend inside or just talking to people or playing with people across the world that I don't know. When you
Exactly.
go outside, going outside for us, we're just talking. We're talking about it. It's still a huge risk. Definitely when police are out and about and they're trying to get their shit off. You know what I mean? Like it's always gonna be a big risk. Going outside, doing anything, is always gonna be have a level of risk to it. But if
Yeah.
we're gotta be aware of that, and God bless, we come back safely, safe and sound. I would just like to get more into Ahmad Pause, the Prince, musical wise. You're in
Right.
Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta is becoming its own New York, where this it's the head of the music scene right now. You got Migos, you got Ti, you got Gucci, you got Jeezy. Just to name a few old heads or OGs rather. Like you have
Right.
a lot of good representation. Just take me into your musical inspirations. Who do you consider like a good comparison of yourself? And what is your end goal with music?
Okay. Well, for starters, I gotta tell you, you were kind of on the nose with fucking Atlanta being the new New York, but I feel like it's the new LA because with a lot of things popping, there's a lot of different sounds that are being reinvented and reinvigorated, or probably being more mainstream. Like for example, Mario Judica. Like you got new sounds every single day, and they just waiting to like spread out. So far, there's like trap, whether there's R&B, whether it's rock, whether it's hip hop. Like you said, there's like a lot of different sounds, and I'm glad to be influenced by those sort of people, those sort of
Mhm.
artists. And I also want to let you know that with certain music, it also comes with a certain challenge. It comes with like a certain barrier that you had to face every time you try to make a beat or try to sing on a track or try to rap on it.
Mhm.
It just takes a certain tolerance that you have to get to in
Right.
order to where it doesn't feel like you're doing this as a chore for the long run, but mostly like for fun and to keep doing that. And for me being like a producer, just mostly for like starting off as R&B first, then switching
Mhm.
to lo-fi, then to trap, and then like mix around the two. It just
Mhm.
kind of makes it more fun. You just got to start adapting more than just finding something that you can go for. I mean, you can go that route. Like it
Right.
don't matter. You can still have some sort of fun with just going with one genre. But if you master that and you kind of getting old with it, then I guess it's just time for you to just keep moving, like keep finding something different. So I wouldn't say it's something you gotta like stop here or start there. It just depends on when you want to go because it's not going anywhere. Music isn't going anywhere. So
Not
if
at
you feel
all.
like you running away, or if you feel like that music is running away from you, then I think you got to rethink this whole process of you making this in the first place. Like I think that's when most people forget to understand as soon as they start to do something is that the longer they go, they kind of forget about why you did it in the first place. And they just kind of feel like, they kind of feel unhappy or they kind of do feel happy to the point where they don't really care about having that hunger that strive to be great or successful. Because
Right.
whether you're successful already or not, that's what determines how your future will gonna be. Like, look at Conor McGregor. You seen that fight with him and Poirier, bro? Man's got knocked out, bro. He didn't get most rounds in like he did with his other stuff. And I'm not a fan of Conor like that. But
Mhm.
it's just a fact that if you have almost the same time length as Jake Paul and Nate Robinson, then something's wrong.
Right.
Something is really wrong. Like, we're not talking about YouTubers right now. We're talking about one of the great fighters so far. I mean, I can't say of all time because the nigga lost, but
Right.
I
Right.
mean, you see the success, you see the accolades you have. Like, he
Mhm.
got stats.
Yeah.
So for him to just, go down like that made me seem that he just didn't find any, like, he didn't find any hunger that he wanted to find back in his prime.
The fire
So
wasn't lit.
facts. He was lit. He was cocky. That bro. He was always trash talking his opponents every step of the way, and he will always feed off of that.
Mhm.
This fight, he didn't do that, which I don't blame him. But like at the same time, come on, dude. Like you got
Yeah.
an image to represent. Cause the stuff that you're gonna be acting like at home isn't gonna be the same thing as you're gonna be acting like at work. You gotta be
Mhm.
professional. So in terms of that, yeah, longevity wise, I'm gonna be sure to make music for a long time. Like that's not a question. Just always just in my head always makes me wonder how to keep things consistent in my head. That's pretty much how I'm moving. Make sure to be consistent, but not to the point it gets me burnt out
Got
and
you.
not want to find any satisfaction for it. And for comparisons, I can't really think of a comparison, to be honest. I can only think of influences and people who
Okay.
I just listen to on a day-to-day basis. But to me to compare to anybody, yeah, that's not my expertise. I just want to learn how to be a better self,
I
rather be a
got
better
you.
someone else.
I got you. You mentioned about when he was like doing when sticking to one genre and feeling like you're mastered, but you're not advancing to nothing else. That's like going to the gym and you master the 10 pounds and then you're just doing curl ups and nothing. You don't feel nothing from it no more. That's a sign that it's telling
Exactly.
you to move on to the next weight. But you made a really good point. Like some people are content with staying at that level. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's their choice. That's how they want to move. But if you want to get more out of it, you're gonna have to do more. You're gonna have to take more weight on your shoulders, on yourself. And
Right.
I think that's something that it's a bit blurred because some people are up to the challenge, but may not necessarily have good footing. Have a proper balance, have the proper stance and things like that. It's also those little things that they take accountability. Some people just don't want to move on, and then you just got to deal with that. But don't like definitely if you're gonna do music, either producing. I feel like producing definitely with so many producers on YouTube or beat stars, like it not to be disrespectful, but it feels like anyone, could be a producer. With the resources. You know what I mean? Of course you take
Facts.
it seriously, but then there's people with the mini keyboard or, garage band, things like that. Okay, I'm a producer now. Or you know what I mean? Like it's those type of people. Okay, I'm a producer. Okay, but
Right.
what are you doing? What are you producing? What are you putting out really? You know, and I feel like it's so hard to really stand out. I mean, of course, you have like name brands like Metro Boomin, Ye being producer. You have Pure Born. You have I forget, 40, 40, with Drake and everything like
Yeah.
that. Like you have the OGs that's really been in the game, and you hear like so many samples being flipped. It's like you kind of hear the same, drum, the same drums and the same beat line, things like that. It's like, okay, what's new? What's fresh? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's it's kind of hard for producers right now to feel to like to have their own niche or to have their own lane separate from everyone else because things kind of sound like the same like right now, definitely like in trap, you know what I mean, like
Pretty
in the
much,
trap
yeah.
scene. And it's like it's a chore. I don't want to say a chore, but it's a hard thing to really get through when you're trying to like definitely come up in the rap scene or in the trap scene.
Yeah, and I just listened to a video of Cardi B talking about this too because like you said, you gotta like anybody could be a producer. I 100% agree with that. Like I think nowadays it's been more accessible to learn producing and knowing how to make beats longer than it has back in 2010 because not many people were really silent on that. I
Mhm,
think it was until after the SoundCloud era started popping, that's when a lot of people became producers, started to hop on FL and Pro Tools, this, that, and the third. I started on Studio One. So learning to come to FL Studio and doing other things after that, it was like a challenge because there was a lot of stuff I did not even know as, being like a Studio One main. But now, since I learned, like, I'm not gonna say I learned everything about FL, but I know at
mhm.
least a few fundamentals to know what I'm doing.
Yeah,
And that kind of like alludes to what I was saying before about the longevity wise, because if you're gonna do this for a long time, then you gotta make sure that you have your own sound. Like you gotta have that certain sound that everybody could just take from out of the others. Like it don't have to be a lot of people who claim you as this one producer and to put you on a high pedestal like Metro Boomin or Pierre Bourne or Ye or Pharrell, those type of producers. It just takes a certain type of skill and it takes a certain level of consistency and hard work to keep that going and to make sure to have those things, up in your back so you can
mhm.
carry the game 20 years from now. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So like
Gotta
with
have
that
like
for people, yeah, for people who want to do that longevity wise, they're gonna get that shine. Like even if it's not big, as long as you
mhm,
got people in your hometown bumping your music, like when they're cruising down the city or vibing on the beach or
mhm.
probably smoking some weed, vibing and stuff, then
Yeah,
bro, you already winning. Like you
yeah,
already got your clout and you don't need to have any validation from other people. They might say it's bad. Okay, so what?
yeah.
You're gonna have love and you're gonna have hate. Like
That's a part of
that's
it.
facts. That's what's been in our human nature.
Yeah.
So you can't really just come throughout the gate not expecting any kind of like backlash, while doing what you want to do. But as long as it makes you happy, that's all that matters.
Yeah, you make a good point about it making happy. Like, so I feel like some people, like I do this, I take this seriously, and it makes me happy. Versus there's people that are doing it fun, and it makes them happy. The new
Right.
like the SoundCloud level producers, things like that. Um, they they don't take it seriously, and so the expectations they want to be mainstream, they want to be up and about Metro Boom and stuff like that, but they're not taking it seriously, and so they're not aware of the expectations that are going to be out of them. They're not going to be aware of that. Some people may jack their beat. They're not, putting themselves out there publicly as they should, not doing advertisements or not doing any like type of collaborations or networking, things like that.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where, okay, if I'm gonna do this for fun, I'm gonna have to I have to set the tone, if I'm playing 2K and I just wanna, mess around, I'm not gonna put it on Hall of Fame. I'm put it on pro or rookie or whatever. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so it's like, okay, you got to be able to set your tone. Set the expectations. Don't say, "Oh, I'm gonna do this for fun," and okay, I might blow up. That's a big. I mean, course is cool to blow up and everything, but to blow up and not be
Right.
prepared for, now the spotlight's on you. Okay, now, okay, what do you got? What do you got for us? What's the next thing? When people put you in that, it, it's not always a thing where, okay, I did this and I got it on my own. No, when people put you in a position to succeed and then they start expecting things out of you, that's your time to go.
Yeah.
They're gonna see, okay, if you got something or you don't, then they'll move on. Think about all I mean, think about TikTok and Twitter and Instagram, all these, these pages or these people that blow up that one thing, and then okay, they're gonna drop they're promoting themselves, self promotion, things like that. Like
Facts.
TikTok, you blow up one, they're gonna come back for the second one. But if it's not gonna be as good as the first one that blew up, it's whatever. The first cool and everything, but we'll move on. And I'm aware of that. You know what I mean? Like I do TikTok just so I can, have a space to reach more on a different platform, right?
Right.
I know for a fact I have plenty of catalog from these I could go back and continue to feed people, you know? And so it's
Hmm.
one of those things where you gotta be cerebral about it. You gotta be able to see the field, and you kind of mentioned about you touched on it. And Drake said, similar things about, the people going to your concerts, the people going out buying your tickets, the people wearing your stuff. You don't need no Grammy validation. You don't need those Grammys. You don't need those awards. The people are the ones supporting you. Those are where you're getting the validation from.
You're right. Yeah, he
Standing
was right
out,
on that.
saving their money to come and see you, then, like, that may not sound, cool or whatnot, but like when you really talk about it, like you went out of your day, you spent money to come to see me perform me. You know what I mean? Like we start to
Yeah.
really think about it, like that's some real stuff right there. Like, God dang, like people actually want to see what I'm doing, paying to see what I'm doing. Like, that's really blessed to be in a position like that, you know?
Honestly, that's truly a blessing in my eyes. And you're 100% correct. Drake was on his bag when he said that because it actually held truth. I would not hold any truth accountable in any Grammy because I think after a while they knew that the Grammys had started to become a popularity contest and it kind of became,
Mhm.
only a favorite contest to the elites, like to people who know the ins and outs of the Grammys. I mean, like they
Yeah, that's
snubbed the
true.
weekend, bro. They snubbed the weekend. Like, yo, it's the weekend. I mean, if it was anybody else, I'm pretty sure that they will have the same reaction. But dog, the weekend had a great 2020.
Yeah,
So it was kind of obvious that the Grammys weren't what they were. And I'm talking about like for the people. They weren't even for the people. They're just for
what
themselves. And
what's this
uh,
face? He won the Grammy in like 2013. He has the song like Thrift Store. He won that over Kendrick.
Malcolm Moore, that man won all the
Oh my
awards in the
god.
rap category over Kendrick. Like, here's the thing though. Here's the crazy thing about like, I'm not gonna lie. I listened to the Heist, and I'm pretty sure. Okay, it's a great album. I'm not gonna lie.
Mhm.
It's a pretty great album. But bro, we're talking about Good Kid, Mad City, dog.
Yeah,
Like, I don't think that should be snubbed for any part of the Grammys. That's just my opinion. But like, yeah, yeah, Macklemore. I feel like the thing is, it wasn't even Macklemore's fault. I'm not gonna lie,
it
it wasn't
wasn't.
even. It wasn't. So I was kind of sad to see that he was getting all this hate, all this backlash for something that he wasn't even a part of.
Yeah,
And I mean, that's half the truth because of skin tone and this and that there. But I wouldn't say overall. I wouldn't put him up against him personally. Like I'm
yeah,
pretty sure Mac is like a good guy. Like he's a pretty chill dude. If we're just talking about like in person. But yeah, I think if anybody should be mad, it should be the people holding it up because let's be real, everybody knew that Good Kid, Mad City should have at least got one Grammy that time,
right.
at least once. So I feel like yeah, with people stubbing and thinking that everything's just a game, it just kind of makes them as a joke. I don't see any validation I can hold accountable for the Grammys unless
Yeah,
they mess up, which is almost every year.
pretty much.
But shit, I was gonna talk about something else because you said something about the people using music on BeatStars and YouTube, and it
Mhm,
kind of made sense because I remember what I was talking about, like Cardi B talking about beats and this and that on YouTube.
mhm,
They were basically talking about, well, her specifically about having a certain beat, use it as a song, and then later blow up from it, right? And
mhm.
then people asking for the next single, like how Bodak Yellow literally blew up in 2017. And after a while, people knew that the swag and the style of the song, it came mostly from, Kodak Black. And she was humble enough to give him a percentage around that time because it kind of makes sense. And I
Yeah,
respected her. So fast forward, a new beat comes, she makes a new song, and then someone else has the same exact song. Now people are playing that they're kind of stealing her flow, or pretty much, taking her song and just running with it in a little style, a little different. Basically, like how you would copy somebody's homework, but only do like a little bit of answers differently to
Yeah.
make it not look the same. Yeah, it's like that.
Get this one
But
wrong so they don't think we copied each other or you copying me. Stuff like
exactly,
that. Yeah.
for real, like it be
I was a
like that
master at
sometimes.
that. I
Yeah,
was a
like
master at that.
sometimes, yeah, sometimes it might happen in college. Like, bro, trust me, believe me. But
Mhm.
for Cardi B, she wasn't really mad at the person who also had the same beat. She was mostly mad at the producer because the producer sold both of them the beats, and they
Mhm.
both, had a different stuff. So you can't really blame somebody else for just, you know, for having what
Doing the
they've been
job.
given, like,
Business. Yeah.
for real, it's just business, dog.
Yeah.
But I feel like, yes, it was a bad on the producer's part, because like if you knew that this person was gonna have the same acclaim as this one, then of course it's gonna be a hard challenge, or better yet, it's gonna be some complications in terms
Mm.
of the business side of
Right.
things.
Right.
So with that being said, I feel like with business and music, I think I gotta take that serious, because anything can happen that can take them to court. And I'm pretty sure nobody has enough lawyers to make or file lawsuits and stuff like big artists. So
You make a good point. That's the stuff for like with producers. I feel like there should have been communication between the producer and maybe like Cardi or whoever he showed the beat first, you know what I mean? And
yeah,
that could be real tricky and that could like come out to be a beef or something like that. I don't know.
facts.
I don't know. I like to see Cardi when she's in the beef. She handles herself with grace. You know, I love Cardi B. I love Cardi B. She's perfect. I feel like you mentioned about like flows and styles, things like that. I don't think there's any such thing as like unless you're like E40 or there's certain rappers from the 90s that try something different and then you know they were the creator of it, you know, kind of like a
Yeah,
dance. You know, there's hundreds of modifications of dances, but I know for a fact like there's people who started a flow, started a wave of a sound, and then people's taking it from it. But definitely like in this new era, you know, a big name, Drake, you know, he's for a while, oh, he's copied this flow, he copied this sound, and he's biting off of this and all of that. You know, there's no rule in music saying I can't use that flow, or I can't use that sound, or I can't use that beat, or I can't say this or that. There's no rule in that. That's the thing about music. Like if, you know, Steph Curry, you know, he's playing for the Warriors and then you know, I went to the NBA and I started shooting like Steph. There's
yeah,
no rule saying I can't have a similar jump shot to him.
right.
There's no rule saying I can't wear 30. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't
Mhm.
own that number. He doesn't own that shot. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
wear the
I-
same shoes. No one said I can't. There's no rule saying I can't wear that shoes. You know, it's about what you do with the shoes, what you do with the jump shot, what you do with the flow, what you do with the scheme, with the beat. That's where it will always be, you know, where it always be, you know, what people take seriously if is your performance.
yeah. I feel like, um in terms of what you said about, not everybody having a certain flow or copying a certain flow, I agree to that to some extent.
Mhm.
Because if you, so say for example, if you have a song and you say a certain verse and a flow is exactly like somebody else, like another artist that is, a little popular, then at least say that you have, like, you pay homage to, or that a
Yeah.
certain style was influenced by the person. Okay, just as long as he's on that agreement, because there have been a few artists like Drake who have been having numerous flows from uh other previous eras in most of the songs, and they sound like the same exact person. Like for
Mhm.
example, KMT and X's Look at Me. Both sound exactly the same in terms of the style and flow. So I guess that, and I feel like it was cool at first, because, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, the songs are fire. Both
Mhm,
of them, both X and Drake's is fire. But a recent interview came by after that song was released, and Drake was saying how he didn't know about X at the time while making that song, which that's cap, bruh. He literally had a whole year build up while that nigga was locked away just for Drake to make a little type of verse that
mhm.
sounded exactly like the same single that was blowing up. Man, nah. I believe that he knew who he was from the jump, but just didn't want to say it. So that was my only problem with it. As long as you know how to, pay homage to a certain flow and certain to
Respect.
a certain artist, yeah, you respect
Yeah,
that, a certain boundary, then it's all good. It's all good.
I got you, I got you. I would like to ask you a few more questions, just like with you and, your music, what's for Ahmad the Prince for 2021? What are you doing for this year?
Ooh, I'm planning to drop four different beat tapes.
Okay.
Four different beat tapes. So how this is gonna go out is, since there's 12 months in a year, I'm assuming like each quarter for that certain year, I'm gonna just drop, some regular type beats here and there, like I've been doing as usual. And then for a certain month, I'll tease a certain project for one category, one genre, and
Okay.
I'm gonna keep doing that for at least a while until the end of this year. So certain how like Brockhampton did their saturation series. It's almost certain like that, but it's not gonna be based around the summer because
Okay.
let's be real, they had a lot of people that have that assistance to make three different projects in the summer. So I applaud for that. But I'm just one dude. I'm just one producer
Yeah.
with a computer and a laptop and a few vinyl samples. So I'll just taking my time with it rather than overburn myself, like I mentioned, and just have fun with it. So for the first project, it's gonna be a whole lo-fi tape. And I know people have been asking for this for a while because I made a recent I made a not recent, but I made an old lo-fi tape like years ago. But due to SoundCloud restrictions and sample issues, I had to scrap some of them off, and some of them I had to just leave and remove just to make space. But since I'm in a better, comfortable position now to make, more music and to leave them here to stay,
Mhm.
I kind of feel like it's more certain to drop the lo-fi tape out of anything else
Okay.
just to make things shake. Then later it's gonna be R&B, third one's gonna be trap, and then the fourth one is gonna be a surprise. So I can't say
Okay.
much about that. But
Hey,
so far, yeah, I'm gonna be busy all year. So
you're gonna be cooking,
yes,
you're gonna
sir.
be eating.
Bro, 2021, bro, I'm feeding the streets.
I'm looking
I'm
forward to
feeding the
that.
facts.
I
Yes,
um I,
sir.
I just need one more thing out of you. Tell me where you can get Ahmad the Prince. Tell me where I can find you. Tell me where I can listen to you. Just tell me.
And you can find me anywhere, even on TikTok. You can find me on Apple Music. You can find me on Google Play, Tidal, Amazon, iTunes. I think I already said that. YouTube, Tidal, all those places, all those sites. Best believe those are gonna have a lot more music, more replayability. Because I know a lot of people don't really listen to SoundCloud music at all because I feel like it's starting to die down after 2018.
Right.
So I feel like with BeatStars popping still and other major streaming platforms coming through as the new way to listen to music,
Mm-hmm.
those are definitely gonna have most of my tunes on there. Best believe.
But
Fact.
what do you want to be remembered for? Your legacy,
Mm.
this period, beyond music.
It's a good question. I don't want to have music as one thing that keeps me going. I want to have like a whole business to myself. That's one thing I really want to get things to, come to a reality, not just for music, because that's just only the tip of the iceberg. I want to have a certain foundation, a certain brand that can keep me going in terms of longevity and making things um happy for the people, because I know that it's not really about myself in terms of what I want to have to the world. What I want is to make people remember that I wasn't just here in the shadows or just being somebody to just, step by. I just want
Okay.
to find a certain balance to where I can feel remember for helping people mentally, spiritually, and whether or not they're going through some dark moments, I just hope that in some way, shape, or form, I can help them feel like they're on top of the world and that they can't, you know, be stopped, like literally in their heads, because their mind is, bro, their mind is their greatest weapon.
Hmm.
Because in order to deal with everything else with your body or in life, you got to help your mind first, because that's going to help things all come together.
It
Like
is.
overall, that's what makes things, shake for a lot of people. And sometimes it might make or break a person.
I got you.
Only in time. But for overall legacy wise, I just want to help people make the best of their lives and make sure that they don't feel like they are nothing, because that's a lie. The moment you were born, you are a winner.
Hmm.
So that's what I think in my book, and so much more I got planned years from now. Like it's hard to keep track. So that's what I want so far from my legacy.
We're gonna reach it too. We're gonna be there. I'm gonna be there for sure.
Facts, man. Like, bro, shout out One Post Collective too. I gotta, bro, I'm soon copping their shit, because, like,
Yeah,
if y'all did check out their stuff already, you got to shout out to them.
they're the best.
They got some good stuff heading the way.
Yeah, they got that fire. They keep that fire.
They really do. I'm gonna try to cop a beanie or something, because like it's about to be cold soon.
Hmm.
I can already tell, like, bro, it's already raining and it's already snowing in ATL, and it's probably gonna get worse from this month alone. So I need to get something. I gotta get cozy.
We're
I
gonna
gotta
get
look
you
at
right.
bags. Y'all
We're
got
gonna get
to.
you
Y'all
right.
got to.
Yes, sir. Thank
Yes,
thank you. This one was blessed. Really good to have you on.
most definitely. I'm glad
Mhm.
that you had me on here and we had time to, like, talk some real shit and also spread some gems along the way.
Yes, sir. And we
Yes,
do it soon
sir.
again too. Much
Hell
love.
yeah. Much love.
Peace.